Welcome back from the break. Thank you for joining me, Sarah Hopwood, as I continue this series called Future Proof, looking at how we can feel more confident and assured as we look ahead to the future in our business lives, as employees, and indeed students coming into the workplace. And in the first half, I positioned the programme by saying that I want this whole programme to be around the 2018 Deloitte Millennial Survey paper that was published, talking about essential skills that can be taught. And their positioning statement says, the great leaders of the future will be valued-led. And their quote is, in the past, jobs were about muscle. Now they are about smart brains, but in the future they will be about the heart. And what's wonderful is years ago emotional intelligence was very much seen as a soft skill and too fluffy and lightweight, and it was almost kind of that kind of man up attitude towards it. And with all the issues around mental health, businesses realised that when they invested in their people, when they improved the mental health of their people, then the output from that business could go up anything from 20 to 75%. And when it made business sense, when it directly affected the bottom line of the businesses, then many people responded. But equally, there are businesses that have made it their purpose right from the start to make sure that they looked after their employees. And this Deloitte paper says everything for the future is going to be led from the heart, and the skills can be taught. So I started from the top talking about interpersonal skills, confidence and motivation, strong ethics and integrity. And I want to keep moving down their list of skills that they believe we need for the future, and they can be taught, and they are about the heart. So critical thinking is one of them, and that is around problem solving. And if you aren't familiar with it, then it's well worth researching learned helplessness and Martin Seligman, and he's actually changed his thinking since he first published the initial paper. He's updated his thinking, but really good stuff. But suffice to say that there are only two fears taught in life, two fears that we're born with, sorry. One is of falling, the other is of loud noises. So any other fears, any other barriers that we have that stop us thinking smartly are learned, and they usually are around fears of different things. Critical thinking is when we can almost, it's a bit like, rather than thinking outside the box, you actually just get rid of the box completely, and you're able to assess something, to be able to ask some very good questions, to actually listen, to be able to experiment, to be able to tap into creative thinking, and also to be in tune with our moral thinking as well. EQ, emotional quotient, IQ, intellectual quotient, so MQ, moral quotient, CQ, creative quotient. And quotient is to measure, so to tap into all of those will really help us with our critical thinking, and to also remove the emotions and also look at the facts. And then once we've looked at all the facts, you bring the emotions back in, and then you say, perhaps intuitively or otherwise, how does this feel? Really quite powerful. Innovation and creativity. Creativity is incredibly important, and it's being knocked out of us from childhood. And what's really nice is education is doing something about it, more than when I was at school. I grew up with, or don't be silly, grow up kind of idea, and people aren't so readily saying that now, which is great. And so keep asking why. It is really important. And innovation, what I love about innovation is this idea that all the creative ideas are out there floating around in space. So if they haven't been discovered yet, then it just means that someone hasn't spotted it yet. So why don't you make sure you're the person to spot it? And I really like that, because it inspires us to actually go out there and say, okay, let me see if I can find that idea and bring it down, if you like, and put it on the table and get some work to it. Resilience is huge, and I remember speaking with an MP earlier in the programs, and he was talking about the importance of resilience. And you know, things will always come up against us, and too often we are knee-jerk and we're too emotional. And resilience is something that it's like a muscle, it needs to be practiced. But make sure that our motives are right, that our ladder is against the right wall. And then if we are so sure that we are in the right space, then don't be frightened of making mistakes. That's huge. And businesses now, you know, we're saying to many of them, you must give permission to make mistakes. Now we know obviously in the airline industry, in medicine, you know, we are not saying it is okay and never mind. There needs to be a process to manage mistakes, to minimize them. Hugely, obviously. But if we actually do not give permission to make mistakes, then as human beings, mistakes will happen. And if people feel that they're going to be damned and judged and what have you, then they will brush the mistakes under the carpet. And then that smallest of mistake that could have been rectified very easily, so that then things could have forged forward in the right way, if it's brushed under a carpet, then that little mistake magnifies, multiplies, and becomes something huge, and then a massive problem that is expensive to sort, often involves staff, motivation to output going down, to people leaving. It's catastrophic if we do not give permission for mistakes. So a process needs to be in place, but people need to know that it is very important that they own up, they say what's wrong, then everybody goes in and fixes it, or the right team goes in and fixes it, and that person can then stay where they are and carry on working, and obviously make sure they never make that mistake again. Emotional intelligence is on this list. This whole series is around emotional intelligence, so I'll move forward on that. The entrepreneurial spirit, and this is entrepreneurial to me is around fear. It's around looking ahead and around the curve, and it ties up with creative thinking and innovation. But also remember, an entrepreneurial spirit can actually go back and reinvent the wheel. So there could be something that already exists that needs updating or can be changed with an entrepreneurial brain. So all I would say with that is, please don't think that entrepreneurial thinking always has to involve something new. Sometimes it just needs a revamp of something that already exists. A global mindset. That is huge. We are all linked as human beings. If you are hurting, then I will never be as right as I could be as if you were not hurting. And whoever's in our community that's hurting, it's in our own vested interest to do all we can to help and support, or give wise counsel to, or whatever. So a global mindset links to the fact that we're all connected, and our neighbour now is anybody else who is on this planet. We are all interfacing and reacting with each other. Business is now global. The internet has seen to that. So the silos that used to exist, a dominance somewhere that used to exist, all those borders are going. So a global mindset is huge. And so, for example, understanding different cultures, speaking different languages. I'm one of these people, ignorant as it is. I don't speak any other language than English. Please, if you have a leaning to linguistics, learn languages. Manage priorities. Very, very important. That's around time management. Remember, the real definition of time management is self-management. Developing others. That's around Tony Robbins' legacy and contribution. When we are motivated to develop other people, then we get everything that we want as well, which is love and belonging, significance and security. But we get that as well as also the nice warm feeling when we develop other people and we invest in other people, and that supports the global mindset too. Smart information consumption, we need to regulate that and be smart, responsible for our online behaviour. Never ever go online when you've had a drink, and always imagine passing your phone or your laptop or whatever you've got over to somebody that you love with the password. And that will help us make sure that we stay responsible online. If we're not prepared to give it to somebody that we love, then maybe we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. Cybersecurity and compliance, don't be naive. There's so much naivety out there. Cloning does take place. We do need to be very, very careful of that. And lastly, a specific subject expertise. And there's much said about builders and plumbers. You know, your jobs are looking very good for the future, where maybe accountancy and insurance people will really need to watch their back as artificial intelligence comes in. So do be focused on creating or giving yourself specific skills that you can name in 1 or 2 words, 3 words at the most, that you can pull out your rucksack. And that's what will make you valuable in the future, as it is heart-led.